So I want to talk about the masking guilt. I feel like people who maybe I don't know if it's just late diagnosis. I'm very curious, or like high functioning, whatever they used to call it, or like I don't know, like functioning member of society autistics. Like, do you feel guilty when like you're not masking and like you don't, or you're like that's terrible. I don't have a good one. You know, when you're not like, oh, ha, 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 I'm trying to be funny. I'm like having a good time, and like I'm just sometimes I don't. It's not even that I want to be angry. I'm not choosing the opposite. I just want to be at neutral. I want to be at neutral. But my neutral, right? So my neutral maybe looks like, or, you know, or whatever. Um, where I just look less like approachable, I would say. And it's just overwhelming because like there's a lot of attention that and I'm not like I'm just so beautiful, like everyone just looks at me. It's just like, when you're out, like people are like just looking. They're just looking, just like how you're looking, because you saw them looking at you, so you were looking. It's just like very normal because I'm not like yeah, pretty privileged life and like only people who are pretty go through these things. No, like everyone goes through them, relax, bitch. Um and so not me getting angry at this like hypothetical person who said that. But because I don't have that. I'm not like I wouldn't say I'm like traditionally, societally, what's the word? There's a word where it's like blank pretty, classically, beautifully, traditionally. I think it's traditionally. Like I'm not like a traditional beautiful girl. I'm not skinny. I'm not like super plus or anything like that. I'm like mid-size, but I'm not like I don't know. I'm not I don't exude. Like certain women are like, I'm like, oh girl, you're beautiful. Even men, some men are just gorge. And my cat just laughed. Do you remember my are you happy there? But yeah, I just sometimes feel genuinely oh yeah, this is touching on my skin. Maybe I should say that because if you're just like, yeah, you just get it there. Like, no, it's not. Um, I mean, it's getting better. I mean, my skin's not bad. Let's be honest, it's not. Mm, including in this guilt thing. I want to know how people feel about it because like I just feel like super super alone and I'm just like, oh, this sucks. And like I feel like, oh, am I gonna just like feel lonely for the rest of my life now? Is that like my cross to bear, to say in Christian terms? Because I had a family member actually tell me where they're like, you know, it just sounds funny, but they were like, I think I know why like you've never really dated or why you're not married. And I was like, why? I'm also like, I don't get offended by stuff like that. I'm genuinely trying to hear what people have to say because I know there's something to be taken out of there. I'm not taking them at like 100% truth, I guess is the best way to say it. But I do believe that like everybody has something to share with me and I'm like willing to see that in them and like willing to understand their life, their background, like how they grew up, what their reality is. And then like utilizing all of that, like it allows me to then like understand what they're trying to tell me. It's very similar to like the Bible, right? So if you read the Bible and you're thinking like 2023, like you'll get something out of it, but not everything you need to get out of it. Versus if you understand who's writing it, the time period, like, because there's like a lot of farm stuff, right? Like in Jesus' parable specifically. And you can just be like, oh, well, vibes. But it's really just because like that made him approachable, you know? Oh, sorry. But like that made him approachable and that helped the people understand him because he didn't want to be like this flowery orator um, and all that stuff. It was more like he wanted to be understood, but he couldn't say what he needed to say directly because it's part of the prophecies. That's why he spoke in parables. Look at that. But, understanding, like, the Jewish tradition, right? Because, like, all those things kinda, like, play into their own nuance, in, like, so many ways. In, like, literally so many ways, right? So once you get all that and I'm not saying I know everything, right? But once you get into that context and you understand things a little bit better, it's like him talking to this Sumerian woman, like, he's talking to a woman, like, that's crazy vibes. And a Sumerian woman, a woman who, like, they're not even, like they're not even bros like the Jews and the Sumerians, you know what I mean? Like, not friends, not cool. They have been separated for a long time, and that is who he chooses to reveal himself. It's like without the context, the message isn't that rich. So when people tell me stuff, I'm like trying to get the context so that I can get the richest message that I can get. So I was like, yeah, girl, tell me. And she's like, I feel like part of it has to do with your autism. And I was like, how so? Because I'm like, she's probably onto something. Well, let's hear her out. And she's like, yeah, because like, she's like, yeah, because like, I think that people are not actually willing to understand you. And like, you're really self-conscious about that. And so like, it's just hard for you to trust somebody because then you'd have to really unmask like to a whole different level. And I was like, it's not exactly what she said, but I think that's what she meant. Where she was like, it's going to be hard for you to find somebody because it's not regular trust between, like, regular people. And then she was like, "I'm not saying, like, it can't happen, right? Or, like, you wouldn't ever be able to allow." She's like, "But I think it does make the situation a lot more complicated because you're more complicated than the average person. Like, you have your things that you do." And it's not like, "Oh my god, I'm so quirky. I put pineapple on pizza." It's like, yeah, I don't know, like, so I'm not even into, like, the shit that I have to do sometimes. And it's just like, or people who have OCD or similar or ADHD, like, sometimes it's like, yeah, we have, like, these weird little routine things that sometimes we have to do. And it's not like, I'm just so quirky, like, I just love to put everything in, like, a label. Oh my god, like, I'm not a labeler. Like, I'm not shitting on labelers, they're great. I don't have one, not my vibe, but they're great. I feel like they're great, you know? Um I feel like I would end up like, I would graduate to a labeler, like, if I had children and stuff like that. I don't know. Anyways, mm, 'cause I do be labeling a lot of stuff. But anyways, it's more just like those types of things are not directly necessarily related to certain things where it's just like, oh, where it's like I have to keep my schedule on the thing because if I don't, then I won't follow it and I'll literally forget and I'll literally live a whole different, completely different life that I'm not supposed to be living. Or it's just like I will lose track of time forever and ever and ever. And if I can't learn how to compartmentalize things, then I will never be able to do this. Or sometimes I literally can't get up. And it's just like, or sometimes I literally don't want to talk. Sometimes I just want to be like this. Sometimes I'm not gonna, it's so much about this person. So, and she's like, and like you're looking for someone who's like genuinely a partner. And I'm religious, so I do believe in like traditional submission to a man. That doesn't mean like he tells me what to do and how I do it, but I don't want to be in charge. Realistically, I don't because I would love someone to give me like a good framework so that I can like work within or like bend those things because that's where like the magic happens. It's like when you have music or different things, there's always like a circle, and it's like right in those places where the circle where you can create like a straight tangent that makes sense. So here's a curve. And if you remember that when you learned about curves and circles and those lines that go across it on the top or on the bottom, they're called tangents. They're straight, but they're right along the curve. They just make these distinct little fractions, right? And like that is where magic is. There's just a slight bend. There's something incredible about that, right? That's a whole other thing I could talk about, but I just feel like I can't, because a lot of people, I'm like alpha female. But it's more just like, I don't wanna be in charge. I don't wanna be the one running things because I'm very exhausted, like, having to do what I have to do, and in my mind, I understand that I'm gonna have to take part of the responsibility. I'm not looking for someone to take care of me. I'm not a child. That goes both ways, though. Submission is such a not what people, like, talk about sometimes. Some people get it right, but most people don't. They think submission is like, "My husband tells me I wear red shoes, so I wear red shoes." It's like, girl, maybe the red shoes look better with the dress, and he just knew what the fuck he was talking about, so get over it. Um, but it's just more of like, I believe in traditional submission, like, he'll be the head of the household vibes, totally okay with that. But are you worth being the head of the household? I'm very independent. So, like, are you showing me that, like, I can put my trust in you? Because there's a lot of women who, like, wanna be superwoman. I don't wanna be superwoman. I'm me. It becomes for me, that's where, like, it comes in where I'm like, "Can I trust you to, like, see me, all of me?" I'm down to see somebody who's all of them and to have, like, a genuine conversation. I don't expect people to be 100% all the time. And, shit, sometimes our downs might link up. So, like, we have to have a game plan to know how to do things because, like, when you're on your down moments, like, are you down, down? Or are you, like, down, but I can survive and I'm gonna do what I need to do? Because that's how I've always been. I get to my moments where I'm down, 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 but when I sense that, it means that I only do things that are hyperly important. Simple as that. Um, and so she was like, "Yeah, I just feel like maybe that's why you can't because it's just like you can't even fully be yourself." So it would be like it's like the much more complicated thing because through the whole thing where it's like, I get to be real in my relationship. Like I used to be a hot girl. Now I'm wearing hot girl clothes. And now I'm in my sweatpants and my big shirt. But like for me, it's like beyond that. It's like emotionally there's things you need to understand. And like I can't just like, you know, there's something that like trust is extremely necessary and like extremely needs to be proved and like not in a way like, oh, I'm a trust all man or I'm a trust all people. No, what I mean more is like it is so it's like trust is so important and like you have to build that. I can really, really like you as a person. I can think you're really great. But then if I can't trust you, then how can I submit to you? If I don't feel like you're strong and like that doesn't mean you never cry, you never have a down moment. No, 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 no. No. It's just like I need to trust you. I need to have faith in you as a person. And I struggle with that in general. So it's just like kind of a whole hard thing. And then there's a nuance that I'm like, my brain is just different. And like I mentioned to her, I was like, I sometimes feel like that too because I was really late diagnosed, like late 20s. And But I had teachers always calling me, like, strange, and not like I'm, like, the quirky kid who, like, wears the random stuff all day. I was, like, a smart kid, like, I was very talkative, I had friends, all that kinda stuff, right? But whenever there would be a conversation of, like, being eccentric or being different or being peculiar, I was always, like, used as an example. I'm like, me, when there's a kid who, like, you know and those weird kids, they're cool too, like, I'm not against that, but, like, you understand, like, I was visibly not that weird kid, but my behaviors were just different, clearly, and I had it mentioned by, like, so many teachers, and not in the sense of, like, "Maybe you should get tested," on. Just like, "You're just kinda strange," and back then, when I was growing up, it was like, mm, I guess it's always kind of there. It's like the quirky and quirky. So they're like, "Oh, she's quirky." And I'm like, "Am I?" right? And, like, I always thought I was just, like, being normal like everybody else, and I was really trying to be not like everybody else, but, like, be within the realm of normal. I was always very much an individual, like, it just, I can only take so much, like, if I'm going to have to survive and thrive in a place, like, I still have to be myself. So that's the crazy part is even my masking is not perfect because even my masking doesn't make everybody like me. My masking is just, like, enough for me to get through the day and, like, be successful. And so that's why demasking, it's like, I don't know, like I feel like I'm going through the process. I just don't know and I feel guilty and I feel bad because I feel like people are uncomfortable, but I'm like, I'm not I don't want to do this. And I feel like crazy. Like I'm like, oh my god, bitch, are you about to throw a tantrum? And then I don't, right? And then I breathe and then like I do stuff. But it just is like this is that. And you know, I don't like feeling anyways. But oh yeah. So because I'm not really opposed to having a partner. I was very much in my early 20s, or like teen years. I was like, anybody got time for that? Like I would talk to boys and like flirt or whatever, but I wasn't like my man, my man, my man. Like I liked guys, but certain things about them I would feel like I don't know, like I don't know. I don't think like I don't know. Like I just always felt things. I'm like I don't know. Like I don't know. 'Cause I don't feel like I'm an overwhelming girl, it was never that where I'm like, "I'm just a jealous loca. I'm just toxica." No. Mm. So, I don't know, but I do feel like it's just such a different type of relationship, and, like, I see a lot of people who, like, they have a typical and a neurodivergent relationship. And it is very much the neurotypical person having to be understanding. And like, I'm not saying they're bearing more of the weight. It just does take someone who's compassionate. And I mentioned that to my family member. I was like, I don't think you're wrong. I just think like subconsciously, I knew I was different because everyone always told me I was. And so I knew that I was just going to need a different type of person. But therefore, I have always been like, oh, like I don't see those behaviors that I feel like I need for someone who's going to be in a relationship with me. And like once again, I don't think that makes them bad people. I think they were ended up being great partners for other people. It was just like when I thought about it for me, I needed somebody who was genuinely compassionate. I didn't need someone who was pandering, right? Because some people think it's like, oh well, what you want someone to do things for do everything for you? It's like, no, I just need you to be genuinely compassionate and like genuinely just like want to understand me and like just see me as a human being. I'm not a project. I'm not a whatever you want to call it. I'm a human being and I just am a little different and I have autism and it manifests in me in different ways than maybe like what you're just seeing on TV. um and I don't think that reality should mean like that I don't get the privilege to like fall in love or have a love or whatever. I mean, of course, vocation, right? But I feel like it creates a like the number gets smaller, right? So if it's like there's a number of eligible bachelors that are like appropriately aged for me, right? So like that's probably where we start the appropriate age. Okay. Now like religion, because religion is important to me. Okay, small. And like does not mind being active in the church or will not judge me for wanting to be active in the church. So if people are religious, then as soon as their girlfriend or wife wants to be doing church stuff, it's like, why do you want to be in church? I only want to eat with the pasta. Why do we want to eat with the father? Why do you want to keep going on the trips? Why do you want to go to these classes? It's like, I can't. I'm not. I won't. Nothing has really stood in my way. My face, my walk with Christ. Not even people at the church. To hold my hand. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Be secure in yourself. Um, and there's like other little things, right? But then comes like the compassion component, right? And now I have to find them. And I don't like to go outside. So I think it's just hard because I think people would have to be patient with me. And I'm at the age that people like don't really want to be patient. Like I think they just want to be like, yes, we're in it, let's do it, we're married. Do you guys feel that guilt when you can't mask? Or like you run out of the battery? Or like now you're being diagnosed and you're kind of like, uh-oh, the whole foundation and structure of this entire house I built, I made it out of Play-Doh or Legos. Legos are pretty sturdy though, so maybe not Legos, like Play-Doh, plaster. And that shit's fake. Or like I just had a picture in my brain, so now I'm gonna try to explain it. Do you remember those like jungle gyms where they're like all plastic but they look like wood? It's like you were trying to build like a house made out of wood or bricks, something like that. And you use that, and you're like, oh, this isn't real. It's not real. There's some stuff in here that's like real, genuine, real, genuine, for real. But no. And then I have to build like a whole new house. But then like people are coming over. They're like, wait, what happened? There's no house here now. And you're like, oh yeah, because like it wasn't a real house. But like it's winter or something is summer, a season is coming. So like I have to build a real house now because then I want sustain will give me the shade, the right insulation, the warmth, the shelter that it was supposed to give me. And like I don't know, like I had real wood and concrete and shit. Um, but I don't know, like it's just the play blocks just seemed easier. So I guess I did that, and you guys like the colors. It's a long tangent, but it's just kind of like I'm very curious because like I just feel very guilty sometimes when I'm in burnout or just not wanting to mask versus like sorry, zoned out. Yeah, basically, do you guys feel anything that I just talked about? Like the guilt or the uncomfortability or like the, oh, this is weird and like I'm gonna have to learn how to manage this and like I'm gonna have to learn how to change this and like I'm just gonna have to be honest with myself. Like, how is that nuance treating you? You know? And then also like I would love to hear about like neurodivergent love because I know there's like neurodivergent love with both people are neurodivergent and one's neurotypical, one's neurodivergent. And like, if you have ever felt like that was an impeding thing in your search to find a partner, because I feel like it is for me, um, or it has been. And I think now that I'm even more fully aware, I'm going to be able to pick somebody much better suited and like much more appropriate for me. Um, and like, I'm just more comfortable because now I have like the vocabulary to explain certain things that when you're undiagnosed, it's just like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel this way. And like, that's fine and dandy, but feelings are feelings. And like, literally certain things with autism are like not feelings. Like, it just is what it is. This is a reality. It is not like, well, if you just think positive, if I just think positive, the overwhelming banging in my head from sensory overload will go away. Maybe in the present, because then I begin to mask. But then when I go home and I have to unmask, it's gonna hit me again. Because that was energy that I didn't have, that now I feel like I have to exert. And it's not a feeling, it is an energy. You know, when you eat and you get energy, we don't just use energy to walk, to talk. We use it to think and to feel and to manage. And your brain manages your whole perception of all your senses. And because the rest of you guys don't want to live in your own reality and come into yourself ever, not my problem. Because I am. And I'm grateful to be this way. In every form of it. I don't see it as a hindrance. But then comes the whole thing where it's like, well, now I have to play in the real world. What do I do about that? And it's just like a whole thing. I don't know. Autistic rant. Maybe I'll post these. I don't know when. Sorry, I just felt like it looked funny, so I wanted to like lean into that. It's tough. If there's anyone who sees this and wants to share their experience, please go for it. I am genuinely interested because I just, or whether you resonate, agree, see, understood something, there's always something to be taken. Life's tough. And then when you're like, just your brain's a little bit different, it just, it doesn't help. um, and I don't expect everyone to understand, that's not the goal here. The goal for me is not that the world understands how it is. It's just like, I don't know what it is. Just to share my own experience, I guess. And any people that feel like this, just they don't feel alone. And I know that there are people who feel like this because I've spoken to other people. And when I mention stuff like this, they're like, I kind of feel like that sometimes. Like, yeah, sucks. I don't know. I'm exhausted. This gave me a boost of energy because I just kind of got to be wacko. A little bit crazy. Just kind of like shake it off the energy a little bit. And, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and it'll be a new day. And it'll be new circumstances. It'll be a new thing that I have to deal with. And I will be me. And I'm an ever evolving person, and I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful that I learn more and more about myself. And I know that God doesn't make mistakes. And I know that's always annoying to hear, but He doesn't. And so everything had a purpose. And I really believe that. Even for stuff that sucks. Like today, I think even though it sucked, the purpose was like, this is why I have you do things on you. I think more and more, God is showing me that like my hyper independence is like good and bad, because it's like it's good because you're a go-getter, but it's bad because like you don't know how to associate yourself with people anymore. And I'm like, and you know, you're not to blame the people. It's just like, you know, like people are gonna react how they're gonna react, and like you just have to genuinely not give a single. And I just feel like God uses all these situations, and He even used today, like even maybe that it took me here, so then I can talk about this. Even if nobody listens to this, like now this energy is out there, and like God will utilize that how He wants. I don't know how God works. Even just speaking these words in this moment, even though I'm not going to post in this moment, that type of comfort that may come from this, or feeling of not so alone, maybe that's going to be sent somewhere or transferred to different people. And it doesn't mean that then they watch this. And like, I genuinely can believe that. And that's what I guess I hope for. That there is always a bigger reason for this, for the bad days, for the days where I just feel that word isn't hopeless or like anything, because like it's just I feel a lack of vitality. And even through that, I don't think that doesn't mean that I don't deserve to have love, and that I should have to be a caricature of who I am for the rest of my life in every situation ever. Or maybe it is, I don't know. I don't. Well, I sincerely need to go to bed, even though I still need to fix the computer. My hair looks insane. Thanks for listening if you did. I love you and I care about you. And even if your experience differs from mine, it matters. You matter. And it's not about being enough. You'll never be. Not in our own eyes, not in other people's eyes. But you're enough in God's eyes, who created you with a full purpose and thoughts and ideas in mind. So lean into that. That helps me. Yeah. I love you guys so much too.